This is not simply a driver buying a race car. Garrett Mitchell purchased a straight-rail Pro late model chassis from Port City Race Cars prepared through Rette Jones Racing and then announced an entire touring series built around it, Cleetus McFarland's late model series, with a debut event at Berlin Raceway on August 15, paying $20,000 to the winner. He already owns the Freedom Factory in Bradenton, Florida. He already runs roughly 6 Crown Victoria events every year. Now he owns the equipment, the venue, the promotion, and the seat time. Here's exactly how those pieces fit together. Start with the machine itself. The car is the number 33 Pro late model built on a straight rail chassis from Port City Race Cars and prepared through Rette Jones Racing. That second detail carries more weight than most people realize. Rette Jones Racing is the same organization that fielded the number 30 entry Garrett Mitchell drove in the ARCA Menards series, including the run that produced the best result of his stock car career. Rette Jones Racing also competes regularly in Pro late model competition. So this is not a case of a driver buying unfamiliar equipment and figuring it out alone in a rented shop. He is entering a discipline with a team beside him that already understands the setup work, the tire behavior, and the race procedures involved. The first real evaluation came at Tri-County Speedway. Cleetus McFarland completed a full day of testing there in the new car. The session included one minor spin partway through, which is close to expected for a driver logging his first extended running in an unfamiliar chassis. What mattered more was his reaction afterward, and he did not hide it. "This thing is way better than all of the other cars I've been driving," said Cleetus following his first run of the day. "Dude, it's got so much grip, and it doesn't have so much horsepower that you instantly get in trouble all the time. And the one time it slid, it actually drove okay. It wasn't terrifying because I wasn't going 180. My neck is literally burning. You're almost turning the whole time, so it's a little more intense than I'm used to. This thing is sick. The brakes are crazy good." That description contains the entire argument for why this purchase exists. Less horsepower, more grip, and constant steering input. A car that keeps a driver working through every foot of the corner rather than holding the throttle down and managing air. To understand why that matters so much, look at the split in his results. There is a version of Garrett Mitchell that is genuinely competitive, and there is a version that has been overwhelmed, and the dividing line is track type. On superspeedways, he has performed. He recorded top 10 finishes at Talladega Superspeedway and Charlotte Motor Speedway in the ARCA Menards series in 2025, with a best result of 9th at Charlotte Motor Speedway. In the spring of 2026 at Talladega Superspeedway, he came within reach of victory, finishing second to Andy Jankowiak in the Rette Jones Racing entry. He also captured an ARCA pole at Michigan International Speedway. Superspeedway racing rewards throttle discipline, patience in the pack, and drafting judgment. Those are strengths he already possesses. Everywhere else, the picture changed. His NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series debut at Daytona International Speedway in February 2026 ended with an early crash and a 37th place finish. His NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series debut at Rockingham Speedway in April was a difficult afternoon. At Nashville Superspeedway at the end of May, he was forced to start last because qualifying was rained out, and he finished 32nd multiple laps down. The pattern points to one conclusion. Short tracks and intermediate tracks demand tire management, precise braking points, controlled corner entry, and the ability to read traffic lap after lap. Those skills are built through volume. Across 2 seasons, Garrett Mitchell has made only 7 ARCA Menards series starts. 7 starts cannot produce thousands of repetitions, and no simulator substitutes for door-to-door contact with other cars. He has said as much himself, and his framing includes a practical point about cost. "Everyone told me that these Pro late models are so fun to drive," Cleetus said in the video. "I'll get a lot of experience for a lot cheaper than what I have been doing, just going and racing ARCA all the time, which I still plan to do. But this is going to give me some racecraft that I desperately needed. Racing around a lot of cars, close quarters, that's the type of stuff where you just can't get good at it unless you do it a lot. And so, I'm hoping this Pro late model is going to give me the opportunity to get a lot more racecraft." That statement did not appear out of nowhere. It sits at the end of a months-long conversation with one of the most influential voices in the sport, and that conversation happened in 3 distinct stages. The first came shortly after the Daytona International Speedway truck race. Dale Earnhardt Jr. welcomed Cleetus McFarland onto his podcast, where Mitchell shared the news that he had received an offer from Richard Childress Racing for select NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series starts across the following 2 seasons. Earnhardt Jr. treated the crash as a normal part of learning, noting that similar incidents have happened to veteran competitors, including himself. He argued that the training and information available inside Richard Childress Racing would accelerate development in ways the ARCA ranks could not. The second stage was more pointed. At the Cars Tour event at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Dale Earnhardt Jr., who was part of the ownership group for that series, opened the door directly. "Cleetus could come race with us," Earnhardt said. "I would help him. This is a series that guys like that need to be racing in, as opposed to trying to get cleared for Talladega in an O'Reilly car. If the phone rings, he's going to answer it, and he's going to listen just like anyone else, and he's right about that. If somebody presents him with an opportunity, nobody should have a problem with that." He continued with the specific prescription. He should absolutely seek out opportunities to race pro cars, late models, late model stocks. He should absolutely be going to local short tracks and getting in anything he can and just getting laps. He doesn't have to be winning. He just needs to go race and run and learn and experience and just get a big catalog of experience to take up through the higher ranks. The third stage arrived after Nashville Superspeedway, and it was the bluntest of the 3. Asked on his Ask Junior podcast to assess the performance, Earnhardt Jr. laid out a full plan. "Well, it was a lot of mistakes. I thought he did fine," Dale Jr. said of McFarland's performance. "My whole feeling about his deal is, if he can get himself 2 full seasons or a couple of years in ARCA, running all the ARCA races, all of them, short tracks, everywhere, if he could go do that, man, I think he would be way better off to try to tackle this O'Reilly stuff. So, while I don't mind him running the one-off O'Reilly race every now and then, I just think he's going to be frustrated because the results won't, the race started, he passed a couple cars. But it's like Joey Gase and those guys, and he's in a way better car than they are. He caught a few people, and that's great. He was excited about that. But eventually he's going to go, all right, man, I know I need to take this car, and I need to be running up here. And when he has that happen, he's going to get frustrated." Then came the line that ties directly to this purchase. "If he's in it to have fun, run good, and still learn at the same rate, you can go do that in the ARCA series." Earnhardt explained. "He's got a pro late model that he built. Go run that. I mean, he's got a racetrack. I would be at that racetrack running laps, like right now. On a Tuesday, he could be just running sets of tires at his track in his pro. That is essentially what is now underway." The important nuance is that this should not be read as Garrett Mitchell simply following instructions. He had already been working toward this. In fact, he confirmed his intentions publicly in May 2026 at the Indy 800 at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. When he told Front Stretch he was working on a car for the Cars Tour Pro Late Model division. "I'm building a Pro Late Model," McFarland said. "It will be done in hopefully a few weeks, and then I got to get my feet wet in that world a little bit. I'm hoping to go up there and run with those guys." The advice and the plan converged. That is a more accurate description than obedience. Now to the part of this story that receives the least attention and may carry the most long-term value. Garrett Mitchell is not only buying seat time, he is building a business around it. He is launching Cleetus McFarland's late model series, structured to travel alongside his existing Crown Victoria events. His reasoning was straightforward when he explained it to Short Track Scene. "Yeah, my plan with that deal is to just start my own late model series that will travel with the Crown Vics," McFarland told Short Track Scene on Tuesday. "We do about 6 events a year with the Crown Vics, so I want to start my own little pro late model series on top of that, tag them with what we're already doing. Then, wherever we go, the local can join us or my friends with late model and can join us. We're already at the track with the Crown Vics, so might as well run the late model too. That's my current outlook on using them. I'm committed to learning those cars and put on a bunch of races to the schedule. The debut event is scheduled for August 15 at Berlin Raceway in Marne, Michigan, and it will pay $20,000 to win. In a period when short-track purses have been widely described as thin, that figure is significant enough to draw a strong entry list. A driver still developing his racecraft has effectively guaranteed himself a race against serious competition at his own event. There is also an existing relationship to build on. The Freedom Factory, the 3/8 mile oval Mitchell owns in Bradenton, Florida, formerly known as DeSoto Speedway, already hosts WARA events with promoter Ricky Brooks. Mitchell has indicated he wants Brooks, a longtime racer and technical director, involved. "I'm going to ask him if we can partner up in some ways," McFarland said. But also, "It's not that big of a deal to turn a pro into a super, so I want to run some in his superclass too. But really, with these races I'm talking about, my internal team would run it because we're already running races. We're more than capable of hosting a small race with one class of late models, so that's kind of the tentative plan. Converting the car from pro late model specification to super late model specification is a manageable job, which widens the number of events he can enter without buying a second chassis. Meanwhile, the car's Tour Pro late model debut remains on the table. One more detail signals how seriously he is treating this. Reports indicate he sold his jet boat to fund the late model program. For a content creator whose channel was built substantially on large, expensive machines, liquidating one of those machines to pay for short-track racing is a meaningful reordering of priorities. None of this replaces the Richard Childress Racing relationship. In March 2026, Richard Childress Racing announced that Garrett Mitchell would make his NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series debut driving the number 33 Tommy's Express Chevrolet as a third entry in the organization's championship-winning program. Tommy's Express operates more than 270 car wash locations across the United States, Canada, and France. To have the opportunity to make my NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series debut with a legendary race team like Richard Childress Racing is a dream come true, said Mitchell. It's a huge honor, and I am incredibly grateful to learn under the leadership of Richard Childress, Mike Verlander, Danny Lawrence, and everyone in Welcome, North Carolina. The agreement is a 2-year part-time developmental arrangement covering select races each season. Mitchell has been direct that he is not treating this as a single novelty appearance built around reaching one famous race. "I think my future in NASCAR looks a lot longer now, and I'm trying to develop myself into a driver that's capable of competing at the higher levels. I'm not saying I'm just going to make it to the 500 and then just be done. I want to see where this opportunity at RCR goes and stay part of that for a long time. I want to keep learning as a driver and see where I end up." The relationship has also produced one unexpected crossover in the other direction. In July, at Stafford Speedway, 80-year-old Richard Childress, who had not raced professionally in more than 40 years, climbed back into a car for one of the Crown Victoria events. Jesse Love, the 2025 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion, joined the field as well. Mitchell explained how it came together. "The guys at RCR have been beating me up saying, 'You've got to get Richard in a race. You've got to do it, he'll do it.' So I know he still drives aggressively. I hit him up, I said, 'Hey, if you want to race Stafford, we'll do it.' And he just texted me and said, 'I'm in.'" The next scheduled National Series appearance for Cleetus McFarland is the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series event at Talladega Superspeedway on October 23. Here is the argument this all supports. The ceiling for Garrett Mitchell was never sponsorship, audience size, or access. Tommy's Express provided funding. More than 4.6 million subscribers provided attention. Richard Childress Racing provided the equipment and the instruction. The limiting factor was repetitions, and repetitions are the one thing a sponsor logo cannot deliver. This is the first purchase he has made that buys repetitions instead of horsepower. A realistic caution belongs alongside that. Berlin Raceway on August 15 is a single event against short-track regulars who have run that facility for years, and he arrives with roughly 1 month of ownership and one test day at Tri-County Speedway behind him. A poor result will not prove the plan is wrong. A strong result will not prove he has arrived. The meaningful measurement is the number of races he actually contests over the next 12 months, not the finishing position on the 15th. So the question worth debating is whether Dale Earnhardt Jr. is correct that 2 complete seasons in the ARCA Menard Series is the required path, or whether the late model route delivers the same education faster. And a second question that will be answered in 1 week: who is going to show up at Berlin Raceway to race for that $20,000?